Leon the Lamb, one of the most brilliant writers of modern times, is Dr. Leon Wieseltier of the New Republic. I never had Leon as my student. I was in a position to have tried to be his teacher of Tanya in 1971. I moved to Boston prior to that, never knowing that I would one day hear his name again in glowing terms as a doctoral student of brilliance, as well as a secularist, one who has thrown off the connection of Jews to their Jewish past. I don't know he will argue this, but it is irrelevant. For you see, we read this week's Torah portion called Parshas Tetzaveh. And this week's Torah portion talks about the vestments of the high priest as well as the priest. What is the significance of that, other than uniforms? What does a uniform mean? The answer is that when a person wears a uniform, that molds the person's ideology, that makes the person into a totally different person. A uniformed policeman is dedicated to saving other people's lives. A person with the vestments of a GI feels that he is there to protect the American people, wherever he may be. It is an element of pride to wear a uniform. And so too is the uniform of the Jew. When a Jew of tradition wears a kippah, as I am wearing, or has a beard, as I have, and wears the tzitzit, and dons the tefillin, we are filled with a sense of pride and commitment for Jewish life. And Leon is not one of them. I've met Leon at my sister's wedding almost 30 years ago. He was brilliant then as he is today. He's the finest writer in terms of clarity that I've ever read, notwithstanding the brilliance of my brother-in-law, who's a colleague of his, Professor Jeffrey Wolf. But it is not Leon's brilliance that I focus on. It is Leon's total removal from the traditions of the Jewish people that I cry over. And this lack of connection to Jewishness is what forms Leon's real politic. For you see, in the real world, the Jews are the only ones who have a connection to the city of Jerusalem. There is no real claim of Muslims to the old city. In fact, prior to 1948, 65% of the people living in Old Jerusalem, the so-called Arab East Jerusalem, were Jewish. The so-called Arab Quarter was only populated by Jews. It's a misnomer. It is only due to the violence of the Arab world that the Jews were expelled from Jerusalem. And they came back in 1967. And why should they then give away the place of their traditions where the blood of their ancestors was spilled, where they had so much hope and love and prayers throughout more than 3 millennia, now almost 4? Why should Jews abandon Hebron, except from the real politic effect of the riots of 1929, when Jews were killed and expelled by a pogrom of Arab Muslim extremists who today reside in Jewish areas and occupy those homes? Why does the world say nothing? The answer is the same reason why the world says nothing over the persecution of Christians throughout the Arab world: oil. The truth is, truth and principle pale in the fear of an Arab oil embargo or jihad. And this is the base of Leon Wieseltier's criticism of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Netanyahu is an appeaser as far as I am concerned, but he has one thing right. He demanded from Abu Mazen, Abbas, that he recognize that Israel is a Jewish state. This Wieseltier finds to be unappealing. How can you make the place a Jewish state? Of course, if Israel is not a Jewish state, the Arabs can become a majority and vote the Jews out. But they won't just vote the Jews out. They will kill all the Jews. In order to ensure that there be a place in the world for Jews, Netanyahu was asking that before he gave concessions, massive concessions, to Abbas, that Abbas recognize that Israel is the Jewish state. The reason why you find it unpalatable, my friend Leon, Dr. Leon, Professor Leon, for all your brilliance, is because you have separated yourself from the traditions and the spirit and the hope of the Jewish people. If you would wear the vestments more often, a sense of Jewish pride may come through the large silver mane that is yours. Until then, my friend, I can't say you're hopeless, but you're on the other side of the pale.